Hello, guys. Welcome back to this new Pancake Talks episode. I think you already hear me some minutes ago in our roadmap Q3 AMA session with the rest of the kitchen. We are so crazy. We are doing two live sessions one day, and we have pretty much more to come. But right now, we are not here to talk about our roadmap plans for the future. We are going to talk about some of the amazing projects that we have been partnering all these years. We are going to turn 4 years right now in just 3 months, and we love to see our partners growing and all the ecosystems behind them. And talking about the ecosystems, our first multi-chain journey now, for the ones who don't know, we are actually in 9 chains at the moment. But back on, I think October or November on 2024, we were just only in BNB chain, which is our home too, and we are super glad of that. But we needed to open the possibilities to new ecosystem, and at that time, we jumped into Aptos, a really new blockchain at that moment with a really different coding than we were used to on BNB chain. It was not Solidity anymore, and we are so proud of that first step that leads to continue growing and increasing the ecosystems we are deploying on. And one of these amazing projects that we have been partnering on is one of our guests of today. But I don't want to I don't want to go super fast on that. First, as always, I am not only the one creating this episode. This is a team effort, and I couldn't done this without him. So a warm welcome again to Anicero, one of the amazing PancakeSwap ambassadors, and also he was doing some nice stuff in Brussels this day. Hey Annie, nice to talk to you.
Hello, Chefran. Nice to be here in another Pancake Talk with you. And excited also to have the first time, I think, in the Pancake Talks project from Aptos. When I speak to people in the crypto space and we talk about PancakeSwap, they know PancakeSwap for sure, but they still, many people believe it's a BNB project. And I say, oh man, you miss so much. Like, we are multi-chain project right now. I need to explain that. Like, many people still believe we are just on BNB, but the reality is that we are a multi-chain project expanding to so many chains, the main ones. And also Aptos was one of the first steps we take on that multi-chain journey. So yeah, very glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm not surprised since people tends to. It's like that saying that it says that you need, I think, 5 to 10 seconds to have a strong opinion about a person when you know it, but it's all judgment. You are not knowing that person until you actually know it. But it's the same. You get to stick to that idea. So people got stuck with us being only in BNB chain, and no matter that 2 years pass since we made our first step, people is still thinking we are only in BNB chain. But let's start from the beginning of the multi-chain journey and give a warm welcome and an introduction to the guest of today. We are going to talk with Glen, Echelon's co-founder, that he was super nice for setting up this episode, super open to collaborate and be here. So let's say thank you him for his time and say hi to him. Hi Glen, how are you doing today?
Good morning. Doing well, thank you. How's everyone doing today?
Nice. Super, really nice deep voice. I like it. Okay. Annie, I feel like I'm talking since I don't know, 5 hours. Please.
I take the lead with the first question.
Yes, take the lead with the first question, and
Yeah, you need
people
to
should be bored about my voice right now.
you need to keep irritated after all the AMA and all the questions. But yeah, let's get started with Glen and the project Echelon Markets. So the first will be like an introduction of Echelon Markets. What kind of DeFi project it is? Is in Aptos chain. Okay, we mentioned that already. Can you explain the basics about Echelon Markets? What is the concept, the basic concepts that new users, how they can use it, and give us a basic level explanation?
Yeah, happy to. So Echelon is a money market, and what this means is it allows people to take out loans and also lend to each other through a permissionless set of pools. The core features and core design is similar to money markets on BNB or Ethereum, where the positions are over collateralized. So this means that every borrower has put up collateral for the positions which they're taking out, which is designed to protect other lenders who are giving loans into these pools. And people who lend can earn interest, and people who borrow can basically gain leverage on positions. And this is helpful for a couple of strategies. If you want to stake an asset and sort of get money back out against the staking rewards, you can leverage up there. You can deposit your stable coins to earn yield idly, and you can basically just pool your assets into one money market and lend against it. So right now we have the main market, and we're launching an isolated pools feature very soon to get more longer tail assets onboarded as well.
Very nice. And as if you don't know, the borrow and lending protocols in the DeFi space are one key part of the DeFi in general. And these are a very key component of the traditional finance. At the end, the banks, they one of their functions the banks have is to lend and borrow money. So this is what they are trying to do in a decentralized space. And so one other question related to that, like what type of collateral are accepted for your borrow and lending market? And then after this, can you explain a little bit the concept of LTV?
Yeah, of course. So our market accepts a variety of collateral. So almost every major asset that's listed on Aptos, and once we launched on other chains, most of the main assets can be accepted as collateral and borrowed against. So what that means is any asset can be put into the platform, and then if you want to take a loan out or borrow or basically increase your buying power, you're allowed to borrow other assets against that. And one of the ways which we determine how many assets you're allowed to borrow and what the basically leverage your collateral is able to give you is by a ratio called the LTV. So on the screen here, you can see there's two columns showing LTV values. This basically means that for every dollar of X asset you provide, you're able to take this percentage out against it as a loan. We calculate LTVs currently using the manual system, taking in different factors like that collateral's volatility, the on-chain liquidity for the assets themselves. So you'll see that stable coins and more larger assets like APT itself allow you to borrow more against it than smaller assets. So LTV is basically just a measure of how much you're able to borrow against any given asset pair.
Perfect. I see on the right side of the web page, you are using different oracles. One of them I recognize is Pith, and the other one, can you give me?
Yep. So we use two oracles, plus we have a custom fallback in case both of them go down. As you can see, Pith is our primary provider. So they push every 4 seconds. We get an updated price feed, and we use this to determine the value of the collateral, which impacts both how much you're able to borrow against it and also the overall health of your position. So, how is your collateral priced relative to the debt which you've taken out, and are you still in that healthy range which we target? Switchboard is the other oracle you see there. So it's another oracle that's live on Aptos. We basically have a tiered system of oracles. So if one goes down, we have a fallback. So you see Pith would be the first primary for, you see here on APT right now. Pith is the primary provider. If that feed goes down, we then call the switchboard feed, which is always pushing to us as well. And if both of those go down, we actually have a manual job, which we run to fetch the price from the top exchange by trading volume on the pair, centralized exchange. So we have basically a three-tiered oracle system to ensure that the price feeds are going 24/7 in case of black swan event where both oracles fail.
Okay, I understand. And another question related, when you put your collateral in here, let's say you put USDC collateral, you can borrow any other assets that is accepted in, like, all the different assets are in the same vault, yeah? It's not isolated any of the pools.
Yeah, right now it's all in the same vault. So if you deposit USDC, you'll be able to borrow any asset against it. We're just finishing up the audit for an isolated lending feature, which will allow you to borrow and lend only one asset into a pool or a number of assets, but in an isolated pool. So that should be launching very soon. We'll be doing some rollouts with some of the meme coins on Aptos and more longer tail assets as well. So that's coming very soon.
Okay. Thank you. Now, Chef Fran, I pass you the mic so you can follow with the questions.
Yes. I was laughing because you mentioned Pete, and I remember you know them because you were partnering with them. So I know why you mentioned Pete.
Yeah, I meet some of the people in Brussels from Pete, so yeah, it was nice to see them here.
Okay, I have a question, like it's more like something I want to know because it's nice because when we invite people, and usually important people from the project come, like you, Glenn, being a co-founder. So I like to do questions that makes me hear your honest thoughts and your ideas. So my question would be, like, why Aptos? If there's something particular that makes to choose that blockchain over the other ones, because we know we are full of blockchains right now.
Yeah, when we were looking at where to build, there's a couple things that came into mind. I mean, I think there's many reasons, but the simple answer comes down to performance and security. So previous to this, I was building some stuff in Solidity. We had some exchange products, and they all suffered from latency issues, and as well as, like, there's an underwriting smart contract risk that could potentially exploit users' funds, and we didn't feel comfortable, nor did some of the more institutional clients that we knew and have friends with, building contracts in Solidity, just given that there's both security vulnerabilities and they don't make up for it with increased performance and low latency. So from a purely technical perspective, like, building on Aptos was a no-brainer. And then, yeah, we also had a really good CTO who had been building in Move for a couple of years. He used to work in Silicon Valley, around other Meta, Facebook, Amazon, and he was very familiar with the language and also had a lot of conviction in the benefits of that as well. So those were two reasons that we're looking to build Aptos. Is that, like, for next generation applications, we believe that prioritizing, like, performance and security is how dApps will win, and the chains that sort of build out around these features. Solana with the performance has done very well, but Move still, in our opinion, is a order of magnitude more secure.
Yeah, thank you very much, Glenn. I will go with the next question that is related with your dApp. We see here in the screen efficiency mode. Can you explain a little bit how this works in your protocol?
Yeah, of course. So efficiency mode basically isolates the risk to a certain set of collateral. And what this means is that you, as a lender and a borrower, can now borrow a reduced set of assets from the main pool, but in exchange for reducing your set of assets you're able to borrow, you can get much higher LTV on those assets. So that's loan to value. That's basically more borrows per dollar of collateral which you put in. So if you're holding a bunch of staked APT or staked ETH on Ethereum and you wanted to borrow ETH against that to either go back and trade with or to continue staking it and loop it up, you would want a feature like efficiency mode to give you more bang for your buck, so to speak, or to increase the amount of borrow you're able to get per collateral. And we manage the risk by basically isolating the set of borrows you're able to take out to a smaller set of assets that is much more highly correlated with your collateral. So as you can see here, if you pick the stable correlated, the only assets that you can really borrow are the stable coins against stablecoin collateral. And if you pick the APT correlated, you're only able to borrow like APT and the liquid stake derivatives of APT against it.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much for explaining this feature. Chef Frank, can you go?
Yeah, I like to go with go straight to the essence of the questions. Any chance to ask for a specific question about platforms, I love to go to the bone. What do you think is the main value of a lending protocol?
I'd say there's a couple of reasons that there's a couple of things that are valuable about a lending protocol. Some are the strategies which you're able to build around. Some are the sort of personal user benefits, and then some are more of the ecosystem-wide benefits, right? So some strategies which you're able to support from a lending market very easily. It's like it's an inherent form of leverage on chain. So if people want to go and lever long a certain asset, you can do that natively through a money market. Additionally, the money market gives you abilities to perform strategies like leverage staking or looping, where you can deposit an asset that's bearing yield, like on Ethereum, ST ETH. You can borrow ETH against that, restake it, and sort of get higher yield exposure by doing that. Or if you're holding a large sum of assets and you sort of want to, let's say you had a bunch of assets you didn't want to sell for maybe capital gains reasons, or you still think it's going to go up in value, you can borrow against that and sort of take these stable coins or other assets and continue farming DeFi with them or trading or investing. So it gives you another form of leverage. Those are all sort of like some strategies you can build on. Ecosystem-wide, it's a good place for TVL to be parked and earn yield, wherever people are sort of looking for a more passive investment strategy. That involves not borrowing against it and not like leveraging up, which can be done as well by sophisticated investors. And yeah, for personal people too, there's some tax benefits you can get by taking out loans instead of selling assets. You can get leverage exposure to things. You can earn yield. If you're holding stable coins right now, you can deposit them for above 10%, which last I checked was a bit better than a US Treasury. So there's multiple reasons that the lending market has value. It really just depends on what use case you're trying to target.
Nice. Thanks, Glenn. Thanks. Personally, I have so much, I'm being so conservative after suffering those last bear markets. So I try to use it with a super health. This is a test wallet, but if it would be my wallet, the health factor would be also in green. I think we are going to talk about the risks, but just as a suggestion, be chill with lending and borrowing. There is a lot of possibilities in terms of rewards, but also a lot of risks. So talking about that, what are the risks you may? I'm not talking about mostly smart contract risks. All the projects has those risks, and we are all completely aware of that. But going to the particularity of a lending product, what are the risks of using Echelon could have, and maybe if you can introduce the concept of liquidation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a couple of risks that as you mentioned, one being smart contract, but there's a couple of risks that obviously users are exposed to when lending, when using contracts. So first, with smart contracts, as with any DeFi platform, you're really putting your trust in the code and the quality of the code that's been written. So today we've had 2 audits from leading firms. We're completing another one right now. We invest quite heavily in the smart contract security, as well as we believe that the underlying language Move has some native features built into it to prevent things like reentrancy attacks, which happen in EVM. There's no overflowing or underflowing values. So there's a lot of benefits from the language itself. So we take security obviously as our top priority when managing user funds. So that's a big focus for us, the audits and the development side. And that's a risk you're faced with sort of across DeFi and smart contract platforms more broadly, as you have this code that's accessible to everybody. Beyond that, there's a couple other things. So one of which is Oracle risk, right? So if you were borrowing assets and you had a position that basically you're first, let's step back and describe what liquidations are, and then I'll get into Oracle risk. So if your position, if you borrow assets against given collateral and the collateral falls in value beyond a certain level, then you're exposed to a potential liquidation where a part of your assets are seized from the pool and sold on the market and given back to the lender who lent you the loan which you borrowed. This is done basically to guarantee that there's no bad debt in the protocols and that all the lenders are getting paid back their interest in full. So one of the risks, another one that you're potentially exposed to by using any lending market, is that if they use Oracle-based price feeds to determine the value of the collateral, and there's some issue with the Oracle, whether a malicious price is pushed or the Oracle service goes down, there is a chance that the collateral can be misproperly valued, and that can negatively impact the user as well. So as mentioned earlier, we sort of use a 3-tiered Oracle system with 2 oracles and a manual job to fetch price in case of it going down. And for the LST assets, we also do a time-weighted price. Instead of just any one moment in time, the current price of a liquid stake token, we take a weighted average over a couple of days. So if you remember a couple of weeks ago, there was a big depeg of easy ETH and a bunch of liquidations, and the price went down quite dramatically and bounced right back up. We take a smooth price over a certain period to sort of limit the risk of that happening as well. So Oracle risk is one, smart contract risk is another, and then the third risk that is sort of you're potentially exposed to is bad debt risk, and this would basically be you're exposed to this as a lender if a bunch of people are borrowing the assets which you've lent to the platform, and all at once there's a bunch of loans that either can't be repaid or the value falls quite quickly, and therefore the borrower loses the incentive to repay their loan, and that would result in a loss. So there's 2 methods which we do, or 3 methods which we have to prevent this bad debt from accruing, one of which is obviously over collateralization. So every position must be collateralized at least 120% more than it's borrowed against, just to protect the lenders there, get that 20% safety buffer. Second one is that we have a pretty strict framework for listing assets in the main market collateral. So there needs to be sufficient liquidity, a certain number of users, holders, etc. of the asset, and particularly with on-chain liquidity for us to list it. So as you can see, there's some Aptos coins we have not listed because they haven't met those criteria. And lastly, it's about making sure that the liquidation engines are running and checking on a per block or per 5-second basis to make sure these positions don't get out of hand quickly. So those are 3 of the risks. Happy to dive deeper, but those are 3, and sort of the 3 mitigants. Just to refresh everybody, is obviously investing heavily into audits on the smart contract side, having multiple oracles set up and a fallback system in place for if any null values come through, and like I mentioned, with the bad debt risks, with over collateralization, and just general frameworks for protecting lenders.
Yeah, thank you for your answers, Glenn. So I'm gonna dig a little bit on that regarding the health factor we see here on the top. How the user will see that, and in which levels they need to be safe.
Yeah, so any health factor above 100% means that your position is over collateralized and is not exposed to liquidation. Should your health factor drop towards 100%, and once it hits 100%, then you're exposed to potentially being liquidated. We just posted a tweet about this morning, actually, just describing some of the details of how health factor works, why it's important. So right now, there's an infinite health factor because there's no liability, there's no debt that's been taken out in this specific account. But should you borrow assets, that's when you'll see the health factor start to play. So if you had $200 in assets supplied and $100 borrowed, your health factor would be around 200% because your position is 2 times over collateralized. So that's sort of the basic mechanics of how it works. If you want to read more, we just published a long form tweet about it this morning.
Yeah, thank you. And then regarding these liquidations, there is, I know most of these liquidations are made by bots, but there is any option like a normal user can exercise this liquidation process?
Yeah, so we have a couple parties running liquidations right now that we're aware of. So we have a couple trading firms, some market makers. We run a bot ourselves, but the more competitive ones are these other firms. And yeah, it is open source to run a liquidation. Like the contract can be called by anybody, and we have a couple people that are actively running them as we know of.
Okay. Yeah, I leave to Chef Fran one of the last questions.
No, go ahead. I like how you are dealing with that. I feel super nice not hearing my voice, and I know you like this kind of market. So also you are adding more questions that I thought. So yeah, go ahead with the next one. There is always room to me.
But we are running out of questions. If you guys have any question, please leave it on the chat, and we will leave that question to Glen. Last question for us is if there are any future plans for Echelon Markets that you can share. Don't link too much if you can't, but if there is something on the roadmap for the future coming, if you can share with us.
Yeah, definitely. So there's a couple things coming up in the short term. On the product side, like I mentioned, we have this isolated lending feature coming out, so we can support more assets and have different strategies built around those. We have a leveraged treasury product coming soon too. So in a partnership with Ondo Finance, you'll be able to purchase US treasuries and then lend against those, or mint stablecoins against that and lend that through the move dollar. It's like the DAI of Aptos. And then also there's a couple more strategies with one-click looping. We're adding in flash loans too to sort of pay down debt with the existing collateral that having to refresh. So those are a couple things that are coming soon on the product side. We're launching on the Movement testnet next week. So there'll be some campaigns with Movement coming out soon around the testnet launch. And then that's the short term. Longer term, we're focused more on adding in new collateral types, and particularly collateral types that bear yield. So both like US treasuries, other debt products like RWAs, other like LST assets, then building high efficiency lending products around those.
Nice. And I would like to know if there is any plan for you to expand to any other chains, or do you have, I see there is a bridge point on top. What is your plan for this multi-chain world that is coming?
Definitely. So in the short term, we plan to launch all of the core contracts on Movement as well as Aptos. And we will be doing in the near future some vaults and endpoints that are live on like many chains, like a lot of EVM chains, to basically allow people to deposit collateral and then invest into pre-built strategies that may execute on another chain. So yeah, we have plans to expand far beyond that. Right now, obviously, as you mentioned, we have a bridge integrated, so you can get your assets over, without leaving the app. We use Layer 0 and Wormhole, which in our mind are the two top bridge providers at the moment. And yeah, definitely have plans to expand beyond just Aptos and really take advantage of the multi-chain world.
Nice. Did you check, Chef Fran, if there is any questions from the community coming?
Yes, I see one, and I'm highlighting it. But also, we have more questions to Glen. We are not going to let him freeze so quick. But the questions from, I don't know if I'm pronouncing, with the names, I'm horrible. Raha Ali. It says that what kind of partnership is Pancake looking with Echelon? I think it's a super good question, because why are we here talking about this? And the problem is that I don't have our BD team green light to completely share what kind of partnership we are looking for. But I think you may guess it. I won't say the word. I don't want to get fired. But I think we all know what kind of partnership we can build together. But since I don't have green lights to leaks, I don't know people want leaks. I also want leaks when I'm on the other side of the table. But I don't. Unless Glenn wants to hint something, I won't say anything. But there is a lot of things that we can partnership, and there is one big one that can go.
Yeah. I think we've hinted at it before, but like you said, it's probably best left unsaid. I'm sure the great investigators on this call can think about what it could be. But in the meantime, we have supported Cake as collateral. We offer the highest LTV against Cake, and we let you use that for any sort of exotic strategy. So that's all the partnership is as of today. Definitely go check out the app and use your Pancake to get ahead and earn some points, earn some yield. As for the rest of it, we'll save that for the future if there is any official announcements coming out.
Nice.
Yeah,
Thanks for saving the boat.
The most obvious one is that Cake is like an asset that you can provide as collateral in Echelon Markets. I don't know.
Omni-chain collateral too. It's OFT. Any chain, bridge it over. We got a points program. We have some yield on it, and we have some other opportunities to farm up with. So,
do you Glen have any token, or do you plan to launch any token for Echelon Markets?
We do plan on it in the future. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, you're nice. You drop the nice questions, sir. Okay, I have more questions here. Talking about this kind of market, how do you think Glen Echelon compares itself to other projects such like, I don't know, Fraxlen or App? I never know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways the product is quite similar, and in a lot of ways it's different. I'm pretty close with the founders of both of those protocols, and definitely have taken a lot of inspiration from the primitives which they've built in the past. So obviously there's a lot of things that are similar. The isolated lending feature we're doing soon was first introduced by Frax. The efficiency mode was sort of inspired by Aave, as well as some features from like Morpho and Radiant. The core functionality of the over collateralized lending positions is similar. Sort of the one-click strategies which we've developed, and some of the new launches we have coming soon are completely different and novel functions. So, yeah, I mean, it's the similar but different product offering, different similar sort of missions and design decisions that went into a lot of the protocols. But we're focused on sort of scaling DeFi from the Move perspective and providing the efficient and cheap and performance strategies built around this on Aptos.
Go ahead, Annie, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I think if we have any other question from the community, Raja Ali, happy with the answers you give. So thank you very much. I don't have more questions for my side. So I don't know if you want to wrap up, Chef Fran. I think that was a nice episode.
All right.
Sorry, I was on mute. I was talking to the nothing. I have one more question. It's nice to wrap up with this question. How do you see, Glen, the whole Move ecosystem and also the DeFi space evolving in the future?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of exciting launches coming up soon. There's a couple new products that we're helping maybe work with, incubate live on Aptos and some other chains. I think there's some big developments too in the RWA space coming online soon. So expect to see a lot more different types of assets and collateral supported over the next 6 months, call it. And I think, yeah, there's a promising future for this performant and secure DeFi platforms built in Move. And we're excited to be there along the way.
Nice, thank you. Okay, I think we are going to set you free unless the community have any other question. We have 1,500 views. I think it's a quite nice number, taking into account that we have been running episodes. It's the second episode in a row. We have been talking too much today. I want to thank you personally, Glen, for how open you were to come here to talk about talk about Echelon, also talking about a little bit how the lending and borrowing market is right now, and being super nice also for setting up this. So anything you want to say before wrap up to the PancakeSwap and Echelon's community, I think it's your call.
Yeah, I mean, thanks so much for having me out here, guys, and thanks to everybody who tuned in and listened. For updates, stay up to date on our Twitter. We post announcements multiple times a week, so I can drop those in the chat, or it's just Echelon Market. Also, my personal Twitter is where we post a bunch of announcements too. Got some exciting launches coming out next week, so stay tuned for those. And yeah, I mean, got a bunch of exciting stuff coming out this year, and thrilled to have everybody along the ride with us.
Thanks. Also, Annie, anything you want to say before wrap up?
Thank you everybody for staying here in the Pancake Talks. That's another successful day. And maybe you want to leak a little bit about next week episodes, Chef Fran, or maybe not.
Oh, yes. Next week, we are going to have a double episode in the week, or I don't know how to say it in English. Sorry, not my native language. I still make this mess when I speak, but we will have two projects. One is Garden Finance on Tuesday. It's the first time we do both two episodes in 1 week. We are getting a lot of traction with projects that wants to come. And the other one on Thursday, it's going to be Hashed. We are going to have one bridge and one security project. New types of project, I think, from these episodes of Pancake Talks. We are already, this is the 18th, if I'm not wrong, episode. So you can find, as soon as we wrap up this episode, you can find it in our YouTube playlist. In our YouTube AMA playlist, sorry. And you can also find it on Twitter with the same link as you were seeing today. So again, thank you, Annie. Thank you, Glen, for a new amazing episode. Thank you all of you for your questions and for your support. And let's gather together next week on a new episode of Pancake Talks. See you guys. Have a nice evening, dinner, afternoon, wherever time you are right now. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for having us.
Bye bye.